all too real as it is today. One of the things I wanted to share with you is if you were to come to Standing Rock in the early beginning of August, I would be the one would greet you up in the media tent. And I would give you a little bit of what we call Indian 101. First off is you're all indigenous from somewhere. Maybe the term is kind of skewed your thinking that indigenous means us, Native Americans. But you are all indigenous. And what we witness is that when you lose that connection of what it means to be indigenous, you become like the Dakota Access Pipeline. You start to desecrate sacred sites with no consequence in your mind. We know there's a spiritual consequence to that. But that spirit has been disconnected. And so if I just call you, like, where are you from? Not New York, Kansas, New York, California. Where is your ancestral ties to, the land?
Michoacan, Mexico.
How about over here?
Depends on how far you want to go back.
Just pick one.
I'm going to say England.
England. So there's this idea that when people got there, they were getting a little bit mystical, which Hollywood killed that moment. So who controls the media controls the culture. You know, we don't all live in teepees until recently. So people are right now up there in 40-degree weather, living in teepees, hogans, and surviving. And it's no longer camping here. Video that we're going to show you really is when I first got there, it was kind of the ceremony. It was a blessing to be there. There was a lot of healing happening. Our non-native relatives, our black relatives, Asian, people from around the world were coming to participate from the videos that we were all posting. It was the circle, the altar coming in. The ceremony is what you just seen as part of the protocols. That would have been part of the protocol that you'd have to figure out on your own. Even though I just sat here and prayed in power and place, it's just I got that power and this is the place. It doesn't matter where I'm at. No one can define that but me. And this is what we're talking about with the sacred sites that were desecrated over there, is that that is a sacred place. We know that. They know that. And the video we're going to show you showed that they purposely went there to desecrate the land. They purposely jumped 20 miles ahead to desecrate the land with dozers and brought militia security, dogs, untrained dogs, while the officers waited online all right through here. So as legal students, I want you guys to think about the things that I was trying to think about. I'm not a legal student, but as being indigenous, we do encounter the law many times as being profiled. So there was many things that I knew was going to happen. I knew I would go to jail, I just didn't know when. I didn't want to go to jail. So for me, this was more of an intellectual battle, using my phone, using apps. I use things like GPS spoofing to throw my GPS off. I created this new term called nonviolent direct drone action. And I would send the drone up. And mind you, when you go into another territory, as well as if it's in another sovereign, which is Nebraska, I learned the laws of what they had for the drone policies, and it was about a paragraph long. So what I learned down there is we were just a bunch of Indians to them. They didn't think that we had the technology, and we were using this to protect our sacred lands, to protect our intellectual property rights, cultural intellectual property rights. So what you're witnessing here is that it didn't matter if you're native and non-native there. The issue is the sacred land and the water. Water is a human issue. It wasn't just an indigenous issue. It started expanding itself. So I started removing myself from the camp and the ceremony right there and started paying more attention to what's happening outside. And so these videos that we're showing, I mean, it just keeps escalating as you start to watch the civil rights violations, the human rights violations, the animal rights violations, the Geneva Convention violation, and it keeps continuing to go on as you keep watching it. You're looking at Border Patrol that's there, Fish and Game that's there, multiple agencies that are there. You're looking at, for example, on this one, this was Morton County, but there was about 5 or 6 different agencies with them, from different areas, Coss County, Fargo. This is a turning point where I was 60 miles out, 60 to 70 miles out. I was GPSing what they were not supposed to do. They were supposed to not drill within a 20-mile buffer zone of the river, and I had just GPS that they were at 16 miles. This was the first time I witnessed military involvement from a mile up. And when I saw that big plane flying along, whether they admit it or not, is when I knew I needed to get out of there. And when I turned the drone in a full circle, I seen dust coming from 10 miles in every direction. There was nowhere to go. When they caught us the first time, the drone was still in the air. Okay, I was doing nothing wrong. I was in my legal right to fly. I was in around any other laws to be violated, and we pulled over voluntarily the first time. What gave me away was the guy talked too dang long, and my drone, my controller said, what does it say when you're critical battery low? And then the officer goes like this to the other officer. You know, they were there trying to find my drone. How can they find my drone unless they have military involvement, which we've seen? They would never known the drone was even there. It was a mile up, a little less than about 400 feet. So these are the things that I just started escalating and documenting. I wasn't really sure what was happening along the way, but I knew what they were doing was violating many of the laws that I was witnessing, that we just see on TV, you know, kind of Jason Bourne stuff. But these guys right here wear no badges, no name badges on them. They didn't identify themselves as deputy. And I'll show you a little bit of what they did when I first encountered them on this. I encountered them many times, but this one was very significant. This one took off on social media, and this is when lawyers around the country were contacting me. Well, so they had pulled Tim out. These guys there were support. We were just documenting as journalists, and they were bullying him. So what he did right here, can you turn it up? As I told him,
actually, you guys can't.
I told him you don't have to give him permission to go in to the vehicle.
There's actually nothing in there you guys can take.
Right there is where he stole the drone.
There's no permission. Unless you give them permission, they can't go through your vehicle. They need a warrant.
So he lied and said he had a warrant.
Your vehicle.
And he did not have a
and
warrant
items in there
at
are
all
not your guys', they're
until
mine.
this was on October 8th.
They need a warrant. You let them know they need a warrant to go through that vehicle.
And the warrant was published on October 12th.
Grab anything. There we go.
So they did what they could. Tim, he more or less said he was going to pee his pants. He was they were worried because there was 14 officers surrounding me with no names on their badges. So for me being that far out in the middle of nowhere and every corner blocked off, what does that tell you? You know, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it out of there. But you hold your cool, you do what you can, and you keep pushing forward. And we go forward just a little bit. So okay. So this is the guy, Jonathan Mall. Listen to this guy.
Through the vehicle.
So I try to keep the conversation going. I think I was there for around maybe 40 minutes. Was trying to get good lighting too.
Go back there and see what he's doing to that equipment. Can you take me back there, officer?
No, it's something he's taking out of the vehicle.
But he had no warrant to go in the vehicle.
Yeah, this is a little bit lagging.
So you had no warrant to go in the vehicle.
We'll wait for his face to catch up with his
All right,
voice here.
sir. Here's your ID back. Okay. We're investigating a crime that you were involved with earlier today. All right, the stalking of some security guys down at the north camp there. So we're going to be law informing a complaint against you. So we'll either cut a warrant or issue a summons complaint later on this week. Just to let you know, we are seizing that as evidence of the crime. Okay, you are free to go.
But how did you? Can I see your warrant that you said?
You're free to leave.
You said you had a warrant
free to
go in
leave.
the vehicle.
You're free to leave.
Can I see the warrant? That's all I'm asking. Can I see the
You
warrant?
can talk to the state attorney's office and they can discuss that with you. You are free to leave.
Okay, so for the record, you said you had a warrant. That's all I'm asking.
You're free to
I'll leave, but you got to
They
answer
can
that
discuss
question.
that with the state attorney, sir. You're free to leave.
Who's the state's attorney?
You can look that up as well. I don't need to give you any information.
Shouldn't you give me some paperwork? You've stolen property.
No, we
That's
have
all
not
I'm asking.
stolen anything. We simply seized evidence of a crime. You're free to leave. Good day.
Where's the crime at? Can you tell me where the crime was at? That's all we need to know is where the crime was at. Where's the crime at? Where's the crime at? He's telling me he's seizing crime. Can you give me some information to where the crime is at? Where's the crime at?
So from that
Who's
point
the
on,
badge number I can get then? I need a badge
I
number.
started to realize that, okay, this is getting crooked more and more. I went into until later on in the evening and went into the police department. Spoke with 3 officers there. If you guys seen any of those videos, anybody see those? It was like they wrote down badge numbers. They produced document after he said the officer did not even come in yet with the drone, and they produced falsified documents right on the spot. So this is, I mean, we're witnessing this happen, but in the whole scheme of this, Morton County was not my focus at all, okay? The Dakota Access Pipeline was my focus. Them going through sacred sites and desecrating sacred sites was my focus. They became the distraction for a billion-dollar company, and they did everything they can to lay roadblocks all along the way, which we kept documenting and documenting and documenting until it just created a library. Who's watched most of the videos? So it's just one right after the other, right? And it's visual. It's
Can you show the videos of the? Because I know most of the students haven't. If we can show the video of the violence that has.
Yes, we got them in order. We'll go to the next one.
Great.
So here's a short documentary of when it first started.
Fight we see here, just what's happening here on the ground in Standing Rock Sioux Nation, it's something special and particular to what's happening here. It matters to fight this pipeline, to the communities here, to the people here. But it also matters because it connects to the greater struggle for us to protect Mother Earth and to protect our future generations from destructive climate change.
We're ceremonial people, and we protect this sacred land here. And our ancestors are buried here. And they recognize cemeteries as a sacred site. So today, they're slowly, there's not even no words for what they have done to us. So sad. Because to us, it hurts our spirit. But the elders said that my heart is hurting.
That's the land they desecrated right there.
All over our ancestors.
The hurt that happened to the graves, and to pray and to say, we're sorry that we let this happen. We're sorry that we allowed this to happen. Forgive us. We come to you in a good way, and we're going to pray, and we're going to vow that it's not going to happen again by us putting our own bodies physically on the line. And so we'll physically stand in front of a bulldozer, we'll physically lock down to something to make sure that this never happens again. And then we left offerings, prayer ties and tobacco, and we left our prayers in that way to try and heal some of the hurt for both the ones that were disturbed by the digging and for those of us that felt all of the pain from that. So we wanted to continue that narrative around how we're just sacred defenders, we're protectors, we're not protesters. We're out here doing what anybody would do if somebody came into their backyard and started digging up the bones of their grandparents. The next day we went and we had a walk and a march and a prayer, and we walked with prayer, we walked with medicines, we walked with a banner that said defend the sacred.
You know, our struggle, this resistance that you see here, it's not a resistance born out of hate or negativity. It's a resistance born out of love for each other, love for this land. And that's the ask that we have for our relatives out there, our non-native relatives, is, you know, reconnect, renew your relationship to Mother Earth. Redefine how we relate to each other based off of our original instructions. You know, we've been here, we know how to take care of the land. Just listen to us.
this started in the actions with everyone participating, even the officers in the blessings and the ceremonies, handing out the medicine to them, and they were taking that medicine and participating in the dances as well. So it just continued to escalate and escalate and escalate. And we'll show the other one, is this one right here. This is what it escalated to. Now what we've done is taken their video, which they put out to counteract what happened, and said that it did not happen.
What I'm going to show you is a sponge round which has been deployed at the site, and this is designed to directly impact a person's lower extremities on their body and attempt to gain some pain control. The second round we're going to look at today is what the social media and a lot of individuals down here are commonly referring to as tear gas. However, the actual name for it is CS gas. And this is designed for crowd control and to assist law enforcement in deploying ammunition and trying to gain compliance through the effects of the agent. As you can see, that has split into several rounds, and those are designed to disperse into the crowd to help garner the control of a large crowd. The next device we're going to show you is what's called a flash sound diversionary device. And this is what's commonly referred to on social media as a percussion or a concussion grenade. And I would like to remind our viewers that at no point in time did law enforcement deploy these devices.
I witnessed the gal get hit with a concussion grenade. She was flinching from it after being hit directly, and within seconds it had blown up or shattered right in front of her. And the shrapnel, you could see like the clothes just ripple from her. You could see like her arm kind of tense out. And from there, I tensed up. I was already going through shock and hypothermia myself, and I didn't know how to maintain that type of stress. It's very traumatic. And I haven't been able to deal with it since.
So in the back, local fire department from Fargo was also in the back. Or Mandan, one of the two. I'm a firefighter, 7 years, and we didn't use the hoses to do that in freezing weather. And so in the front, when I was standing in the front, my brother was right here, and the wire was right here. It was razor wire, and it had icicles all the way down it. And they didn't shoot me, and I stood in front, and I don't know why I didn't get shot, but I just documented that first front part. And I turned around and I can see, how it was just chaos at that moment you're trying to grasp what's happening. And on the far side, so the Dakota on the behind, so we call it, I call it Dapple of the third kind. It's all lights. It looks like a spaceship all the way across. It's a full mile. And I could hear percussion grenades went off back there too. So I'm assuming water protectors that went across. And there, I can hear those percussion grenades going off one after. It sounded like a war zone is what it sounded like, and it's what it was. We'll go to this one right here is to the. It's a letter that the Water Protector Legal wrote, and we just made a visual out of it. This was last month, done 3 weeks ago.
Dear Morton County Commissioners and Sheriff Kirchmeier, we write to give you notice of the illegality of your closure of Highway 1806 at the Backwater Bridge, and to request that you remove the barricades at the bridge and reopen Highway 1806 to traffic immediately. Since October 28, 2016, you have maintained a barricade immediately north of the Backwater Bridge on Highway 1806, which is located approximately 1 mile north of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe Reservation boundary. Highway 1806 is a public right-of-way and serves as the primary route between Bismarck, North Dakota, and the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation. The effect of your illegal barricade is therefore to significantly impede travel to the reservation from both the nearest city and the nearest major airport. By preventing all vehicles, including emergency vehicles, from traveling on this portion of Highway 1806, Your barricade has endangered the safety of the thousands of individuals who reside in this area and who visit the camps located alongside of the Cannonball River, as well as the neighboring businesses both north and south of the blockade. As you are aware, the resulting detour adds a significant time to the trip and requires passage on several worst-maintained dirt roads. Given the current winter conditions impacting this region of the state, this unnecessary detour endangers the life and the safety of thousands. Moreover, your absolute prohibition on any travel on Highway 1806 to and from the reservation, even foot travel, violates the 1st, 5th, and 14th Amendment rights of thousands of persons lawfully gathering and residing in the area. The Constitution enshrines a fundamental right to interstate and intrastate travel, as well as a right to demonstrate, assemble, and pray that your blockade has unnecessarily restricted for over a month. And the adverse impact of your aggressive enforcement of a complete prohibition on travel on this public road disparately impacts the Native American population residing in the close proximity to your roadblock. The damages that have and will continue to result from your blockade are significant, and you will be liable for not only these costs, but for any additional damages that result as a consequence of your blockade, including any physical injuries caused or aggravated by your actions. This letter will serve as notice and an attempt to address these continuing civil rights and human right violations. It is our intention to pursue all available legal remedies, including, but not limited to, and above described civil right claims, in the event that this roadblock is not removed immediately and full passage on Highway 1806 reopened. We look forward to your quick cooperation and compliance.
I'll play one more and we'll close out with that.
Do you have the one where they shot at you?
Oh yeah, that's in there. Let's see. There's a lot, guys. I mean, there's so much. Let me just give you guys a real quick. There's the one they shot at. That's the drill pad. I'm just gonna go through pretty fast here. The one when they shot was right here, I think.
Hands up!
That was to keep people warm. That's why the fires were right there.
This is a test of the long-range acoustic device, LRAD.
This guy got shot with that bullet right there, and he caught it.
Where did he hit you? Right there?
There ain't even anybody there and they're spraying mace. Can you see the buildup of the mace on the wire that's freezing? So there's also, I'm not going to play this one, but it's a lady with a phone call. She called in the Morton County Police Department as well. The drone one
Will $10
we have
to
is,
you this year. Learn from experts around the world on udemy.com.
did anyone have
Explore
any
over
questions
42,000
in the
online
middle of that?
courses with lifetime.
Well, he's looking for, who's on there?
Question here.
Okay, can you find that one, Billy?
The first clip you showed with the man being pulled over and they seized the drone, the drone, they said that was being reflected in connection this reported crime.
Yes.
What was that reported crime, and was a complaint ever filed, and what happened?
Yes, so I filed a complaint of theft, and the charge I was charged with was stalking. The guys that was stalking was the mercenaries that were there. They were harassing the water protectors as they were going into camp. And so I ran into them guys daily. I think around the third week I realized they weren't going to do anything to me. So I just...
Criminal complaint ever filed?
Yes, I filed a criminal complaint.
No, against you.
Just stalking.
As I understood it, when they first seized the drone, they said it was in connection with some purported crime.
You're stalking.
And so was a criminal complaint filed against somebody?
Did I? Or
Yeah, so they filed a state stalking misdemeanor against Myron.
But it's kind of choppy. It's only like it's not even that. The security said he was in fear of his life, is what he said.
Now, was it with the drone?
It was with, they didn't say the drone.
Okay.
Because they have no jurisdiction over airspace there.
And so what happened to that?
He has a case coming up.
Yeah.
There's a trial. That is, when is your trial date?
25th.
And is there anything in that criminal complaint against you about the drones being used in connection with that crime?
No.
Purported crime?
No. So that's when I learned about energy transfer. That's the land that was on. But mind you that I used my tribal ID when I was there, and they accepted my tribal ID. That's broken treaty land, 1851. And they know it as well. So this is I don't know if you guys are familiar with the promises the government had made with the indigenous people in the early stages of America, but a lot of those are violated, and that was one of them. They did not honor the treaties.
And one other question, in connection with the drone and the First Amendment right to use the drone, have you been in touch, or have people from the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press in Washington, D.C. been in touch with you?
You know, it's honestly I can say that I've been reached by hundreds of people since then, and it's really hard to keep up with thousands of messages, Facebook messages, random calls. When I was there, there was still a job to do, and so now that I'm away from there, I'm trying to catch up.
The reason I mentioned this Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press is the reason press First Amendment rights group in the nation, and I would say that if they had an interest in your case, it would be rather significant. And should you want to be in touch with people, I will do whatever I can. This is certainly an issue that they represent, among others, mainstream media.
Yeah.
And this is obviously an issue that's very important to them, and I think if they got involved, it could be rather significant. I'm happy to do whatever I can.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
One thing in the video that wasn't shown, they fired rounds at his drone, and he has drones, evidence of them completely shattered because of the rubber bullets. My drone, I was flying there as well, working with Myron, and they shot a live round at mine. They missed, but you heard it straight in the middle of the night, and this is serious. These type of tactics, as you can see, they're getting shot at with rubber bullets, and they're still praying. There are no weapons allowed on camp. There is no drugs or alcohol allowed on camp. But the way the media is portraying the situation is that somehow you have radical people who are perpetuating violence, and therefore this is grounds for violence against them. And that's so far from the truth. And I want to make sure that you all see that. Having been there for a month and a half, I can honestly say that I did not see any form of violence by the water protectors.
Which we have found infiltrators, which was Kyle Thomas, who was the guy that had the rifle, sniper rifle that was chasing us. He was ramming off the road in protection of us, and those guys that talked him down, hands up, everything, did not, in no threatening manner, were charged with felonies. The B was arrested by the BIA. BIA wasn't charged, you know, and he even was, I mean, you know, this is what we're dealing with there. So he was coming down. He almost hit us from the side. Yeah. He was right here. If it wasn't for Mater coming in his truck that stopped him, he would have hit, I wouldn't be standing right here today.
And we have a fellow brother, I'm sorry, we'll get to it, but we have a fellow brother, just to give you as much information as possible, a fellow brother who was with Myron, who was being charged with a felony, reckless endangerment, because they accused him of flying the drone into a plane.
Yeah, they call these Facebook felonies.
And they didn't charge him at the supposed time he committed this act. They looked on Facebook and then filed a warrant and came after him after they looked at his conversations on Facebook. So these are the things that are going on at Standing Rock. I'm sorry to hear that. Yes.
Do you have any drone footage that would vindicate Red Fawn?
No. There's a lot of footage that we're trying to sift through. We got 5 months of footage. So, there's one step at a time, hours of footage. We lost a total of 9 drones during that time that were shot. They're also using RF. Anyone knows what RF is? With drones, is they're pointing, they're not gonna say they are, but we've documented that they're pointing at it and they're bringing it disrupts the signal between the drone and the controller. And they land drones and they go and pick up the drones. The first time
could you touch on Red Fawn? I know some
yeah,
folks.
Okay, we can put it right here. We documented frame for frame. We're shooting in 4K, guys. Everything is 4K. Our films, our phones, everything's in 4K because it's a visual legal narrative. It's also a tutorial down the road on what not to do as an officer. Morton County is going to be that. They're going to be that department on what not to do. Ethics and violations, all those things. Red Fawn, we dissected her video frame for frame for frame for frame. It looked like several things were pulled out. She was tased several times. She's maybe your size. She's not that big, and there was 8 officers on her. These guys are, they're pretty heavily, there should be a video of Red Fawn up there. And we just broke it down frame for frame. So maybe we get another fresh pair of eyes like you guys that will see something we didn't. We're there to we had to keep it going, the ball rolling. It's very important to keep the ball rolling and rolling. I wanted to go over footage and sit on it like maybe most of you guys may be used to, and it's not like that there. Now is the time. You have to get in there. We're working from 23, 22 hours a day, and this is how you're doing it every single day. When you get a call, you wake up and you go. You get on it. You ain't got time because the action is happening right there on the spot in that moment. You have to be ready. What we got here is GoPros and, wearing them. Cameras, always ready. Battery packs, solar packs. These are the tools of a water protector out there. Always having your phone charged, always having your cable. I was handing out a bunch of these battery packs in the beginning because it was so important that we get footage of what was happening there. So that was the most important thing, is making sure you're always packing your camera, always ready. This is your most powerful tool. This camera's got the technology on it to do many, many things as long as you're creative enough to do it. So Facebook Live on the drone, and with Red Fawn, there was a lot of cameras there. We're still going through the footage because there was so much happening at that moment. It was in a full line, and then we're pushing force back. And you can see the canisters of mace, percussion grenades.
So for Red Fawn, so that people know, she's a young water protector who is being charged with attempted murder of a law enforcement officer. They had tased her, they drug her to the ground. They claim that she pulled out a pistol and pointed it at a law enforcement officer. There is no evidence of the pistol being there. The claim of attempted murder has now been dismissed, and they are now charging her with felony possession of an arm, and moved jurisdiction to federal court. That typically doesn't happen. You don't drop a charge of attempted murder. There's something fishy going on there. This is a young woman who, I'm very clear, I've met her. From my knowledge, did not have a weapon.
Here we go right here. Here's the
yeah, go ahead.
So we pulled this out frame for frame is what we had. And you have to go over a little bit more. We can go high res. We can go higher res. I can't see. Just higher res. Nope. HD. Okay, so we just broke this down frame for frame. Look at how many are surrounding her. And then what they're doing is they're blocking. They're trying to block. They were all on top of her. And doing it. I'm like, here, as we're describing it, I'm describing what they were doing. So you can see where the shots went off. And then
By your foot.
What are you doing? You already had him. Shooting on an unarmed man that's already down.
So the guy that just walked off, the guy that walked off that we saw.
Your eye on this guy also.
We analyzed every single
This guy
officer that was there.
can see. So just pay attention to these two guys.
They didn't even get out. They took that guy out.
He's watching. He's like, pay attention. He's watching. He keeps looking back. He keeps looking back.
What are you doing?
This guy over here also. Pay attention to this guy and this guy.
What are you doing?
You see what's in his hand? So we
This
try to
other
blow
guy is
him
very
up,
important.
and we try to make
Key
sure
at what
that
he does when he gets up
we
and
were
walks
watching
away.
everyone's movements in his head.
You are pitiful. Look how pitiful you are.
See that?
See, as he walks away, there's something in his hand. This guy comes in. This guy's being told to pay attention.
To me, he looks like something else is going on. The more we watch him.
Okay, so that's the bulk of that. So now let's watch the high def version of this. We're gonna go frame for frame. There's a taser in the background, and then you see her shaking. Right where he's got his knee on her, right here. So we see one guy come down and kneel down, right behind these two guys. You see the shots right here? Okay, so this guy does pull his gun out, but he has a gun. This guy's gonna come forward. And he has no gun. There is no gun. In his hand, there's nothing in his hand. We're gonna go frame for frame so you can see what happens. Nothing wrong with your screen. I'm going frame for frame. Okay, watch his hand now. Watch his hand. There it is. Now he has a gun in his hands.
What do you guys think? What's that look like? I'm not saying that's what he did. It's only what we're showing
So
you
he
guys.
also has something in the front up here. So we continue to watch him.
So he's being yelled at by another guy in the video.
We're gonna go frame for frame again.
On the protector's side, he grabs something and then pulls it forward. And that's when, see right there in his hand, that's when the guy says, "Wait, what the fuck you doing?" He starts screaming, "What are you doing?" And I don't think he
This guy
was
also
sure
has
what he was watching.
his gun on his side.
He's being tased right here.
But you see, you're going to see a little bit more. With, we just try to analyze every single direction that was possible.
This is frame by frame with high def. Guy just takes it. It's so slow. Look at this. We've got such great accuracy. You can see this guy taking a spit. That's how we're going so slow. Look at this guy right here smiling. Now here's again, mention this guy right here. He's the guy that got pushed to the front. He's the one that saw everything. We're also watching this guy, the black guy with the ski mask coming forward. From way back there. You still got this guy smiling over here. You guys may see this guy many times. He's Morton County.
They're still trying to figure out what are their patterns, what are the reasons why certain guys come forward that aren't part of the
Keep watching. So again, there's something right here that this guy gets yelled at for.
Okay.
He grabbed something right out
let's
of
stop
his
that.
hand.
We're gonna finish too with the last video. One of our colleagues was charged with. How long do we have?
We have about 15.
Okay, so we're gonna watch one last video of what our colleague was charged a felony with for the making a music video and telling the story.
This isn't over. Water protectors are facing legal battles. The scales of justice have been tipped, not in our favor. I'm facing 7 years in prison for flying my drone while filming this music video, and we're waiting for the final word on the easement and environmental impact statement. Pray with us.
In four corners, four directions, four colors, and death rides on four horsemen. A black snake with some black tape. How much money do these companies need to make? They contrive their product, but they want to save a buck. Already extracted billions, when is enough? I used to be in the oil fields, getting paid, but I quit, cause oil water I can drink. Look down and see Kamimi lie down in the mud. I looked up and told myself that enough's enough. Money does not own my soul, living comfortable. It's not in my plans, my hands in the sand. Some things were more than gold. Some things they can't be sold. Some things can't be replaced. She's your mother, the fresh water is her veins. Have we all lost our minds? Every human needs clean water to survive.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be recorded. Morton County Sheriff's Department.
Hi. I need to report an assault.
Okay. Where did it occur at?
Standing Rock. They're innocent, unarmed people being attacked with water and militia-style police firing at point-blank range with high-powered mace on unarmed people. Who protects the people?
Ma'am, yeah, if there's police there, then it has
The police are the ones attacking innocent, unarmed people. So what do we do to stop the police of literally hitting people at point-blank range in the face? People can lose eyes. People are going to get hypothermia. People could die. We have elders here. We have children here. We have all ages here. Nobody is armed except for the police. Who protects the people from the police?
Well, I guess if you want to put it up the chain of command, the next person to talk to would be the governor's office.
Love is the strongest, this path is the hardest. But if we were strong enough to do it, we wouldn't see it. Our prayers would not be needed. This movement's very needed. Indigenous wisdom unheeded and sacred things depleted. I'm Mexicano, Malajota, and I'm white too. I'm mixed with everyone, so part of me's just like you. Every group of human beings shares the same star.
counting. Surviving the genocide they call colonizing my turtle island. What is the boss to do? Continue destruction, nothing new. Living the system, taking our children, shipping the fields till nothing's true. I had that money in front of me, but I left it. Cause oil money's dirty if my mother gets disrespected. We're disconnected, these times are hectic and feeling heavy. But still we love all living beings and suffer for the many. We are peaceful people, that's why we walk with prayer. And if that wasn't true, we wouldn't be standing here. We're peaceful people, we walk with prayer. Turtle Island, no fair. Despite what they show in the media, we're kind people, hold your ground. Change is coming now.
So I know we're running short on time, but I'd like to get any other questions for Myron, to get him out now. We're going to take a break after. You can talk to him outside, or actually he has to talk to someone, but questions will be available. We'll also allow the contact info. We'll get that out to you so that you can reach out. But just want to thank you for being here, and if there are any other questions, we can take those.
I was wondering where you're going to court. Are you going to court?
In Morton County, which there's select few, so if you guys are going to come through, they make sure you have no electronics on you. You can't film it. You can't take a backpack in. There's all kinds of stipulations they got.
Whatever happened with the snowmobile issue?
The snowmobile issue, I think that took a federal turn. I'm not sure though, but many of you guys don't know, if you've never seen, we got chased by guys in snowmobiles, high-power snowmobiles going 70 miles an hour on a black ice road. And then right after that, they had chased us with a reinforced dually for we were in about 100-mile-an-hour speed chase, and it was on ice. And we were on 911 call with them. So the goal through there was to give the Morton County the benefit of the doubt the whole way through. And I was telling my brother here, they didn't disappoint us, they didn't follow through.
Appreciate you guys being here. Obviously, I'm learning a lot from you. But I also I think I get good feels knowing that you're here, but I also wonder, what are we supposed to do? Okay, like you're bringing your story, you're bringing all this undeniable footage and all these things to us. I know I'm not going to Sandy Rock anytime soon, but I kind of don't want this to just kind of be this thing where I go home and tell my friends and tell my mom about it, and then it kind of ends there. So what are folks like us supposed to be doing? You know, what do you see the role of the next generation of attorneys that are coming up and want to do something, but aren't doing something necessarily at Sandy Rock?
Well, you know, we know everything about multicultural, non-natives, our relatives out there, but you guys know nothing about us. Do you see the problem in that?
Yeah.
That's what I encourage you to do, is to learn about us. Learn about what the treaties are, the inherent right treaties. Who was the original people of this land that you're visiting? Learn about those people. That's what you do, is you educate and empower yourself, and educate and empower your family, that the indigenous people that were here are still here today fighting as a small percentage, a very small percentage, are fighting in the front of right in the front lines, protecting the water for not just indigenous people, but for everybody. So I empower you to take your education and learn about the indigenous people and the issues, because you probably know everything about America, but not about the original people of America. So that's why I empower you to do that. And next, come back and share your story, share our story. Continue to empower those around you, because it is we're crowdsourcing right here, intellectual minds to come up with a solution. That's what you can do. You're not powerless.
Do you have literature to suggest?
Literature, you know, participation, inclusion. You know, Haskell Indian Nations University is a great source. It's an all Native American university. You've got Arizona State University, but there is something that I've seen is different from attorneys, because what we're dealing with there is attorneys that can't come in from out of state. And then for an inherent right attorney, it's completely different, because these are inherent rights. You guys are gonna have to sign on with the state, be an agent of the state. Well, that's what we're dealing with now. Okay, so we have an inherent rights that we're going with, which is our right to pray, our right to have traditional medicines, honor the earth. So get a hold of your Native American Studies department. Here has a great one. Washington is great. go to the local tribes, educate yourself, and don't feel like, I mean, and I want to apologize in advance if you're not greeted the way I'm greeting you, by feeling, you know, I want to welcome you to understand us and who we are as indigenous people. But not everyone has that healing from the historical trauma of the last 500 years. So you're not going to get greeted as politely. So just take account that, you know, that you have to be patient with our people. Everyone is at different levels of healing.
And Brenda Williams is co-director of our tribal clinic here, so if you need...
I'll try and get you some materials.
Yes.
All right, there you go, right there.
Edwin and get them dispersed.
There's also a Standing Rock syllabus that I can email to the...
Right on. Any other questions? One of the camp, when you seen the camp, that was one of 3 camps, just so you know. There's Sacred Stones, there's Rosebud.